the game kind of pertains around customizing bikes and stuff. So there's a lot of like customizing like options you can do throughout the game, but basically you can play as 4 different characters in the game, and once you play as all 4 of the characters and beat all their missions, there's like a final mission at the end. But the category we're going to be doing today is Paul Senior missions, which is just doing all 6 of the missions in Paul Senior section. So the time will start whenever I select Paul Senior, and I'll count down 3, 2, 1, go, and then we'll go on go. So 3, 2, 1, go. Wasn't playing at the start there. Oh, it's okay. No worries. No worries. So first thing we have to do here is we have a custom bike that we have to that the game kind of wants us to use throughout the game, but the thing is we are only required to use that bike at the very last mission of the game. So we're going to use this custom, this pre-made bike that is a lot better than the custom bike starts out as, to do a lot of the beginning missions. But this game starts out with a tutorial mission to kind of teach us a little bit about moving around in the game. It also introduces us to these points called fabrication points. You get fabrication points by either picking up these little parts that are thrown about the levels, and you can also do like tricks, and if you like pass by cars really closely or do really sketchy stuff, you can also get points by doing it that way. There's a little bar in the bottom left corner, that little blue bar that has a 1 there in the bottom. That will fill up the more sketchy stuff you do, and will give you a bunch of points at the very end of the mission once you do that, and it'll give you a big bonus, and you can use that to customize your bike a bit. But the thing is, customizing your bike is really slow in this game, so we don't actually ever end up customizing the bike, and we do end up using like a really bad bike at the end because it just has no upgrades whatsoever. But we'll get to that when we get to that. So the game starts out, we have to collect 160 fabrication points for us to then progress to the next part of this mission, which is to race Paul Jr. He's waiting for us here. And this is kind of what a lot of the game kind of is, where there's a lot of these lap races. The different characters in the game have sort of different missions that are all kind of unique. So Paul Senior mostly has lap races, but during these lap races we just drive around certain parts of the city. This city's actually one giant connected map. It's pretty neat, and it's pretty like it's got a it's kind of interesting just because you have to memorize a good little bit of it if you want to like know the best routes to get around some of the areas, because not all of the missions are going to tell you exactly where to go, like the very best ways to get from point A to point B. So it's pretty nice if you memorize that stuff. All of the characters ride around in the same town, so it's just a big connected map, and you can actually drive out through that map during parts of the missions. Whenever you have like extra time, you can go out into those parts of the maps and find secret parts to upgrade your motorcycle as well. It's pretty neat. But as you can tell, I'm ahead of Paul Jr. by like a significant amount. This game doesn't really have super great AI, so Paul Jr., if he happens to crash in any like bad way that offsets where his character thinks he should be driving, he can essentially just get totally lost and not know where to go and never finish the race. So he's driving in a completely different direction now, and that just can happen whenever you get way too far ahead of them. So it's pretty easy to win some of the races in the game. Not all of the racers are that dumb, but it's pretty good. Yeah, it's open world essentially. It's not really the easiest because you do have a time limit on the top for some missions, but if the bikers happen to get lost like that, you have a pretty good amount of time before the game just kicks you out of the mission. So we do try to take some good side parts here anytime we can. We do have to make sure to hit these checkpoints though, because if we do like go around any of these checkpoints, the game will know for the most part. There's not really very many skips to do for that. But anyway, that is the end of the first mission out of 6 missions that we do. And yeah, this game's kind of neat though. It's not like the worst game for what you would expect American Chopper to be, but anyway, so this next mission's kind of interesting. Paul, like the lore in this game's kind of weird and doesn't make a ton of sense, but Paul like hires some tattoo artist to do art on his bikes, I guess, and like the tattoo artist's art tools got stolen by some biker dude, and we need to get him back. So first we need to escort the artist all the way to this section over here where we meet the thief biker. And we also need to make sure not to lose him, because if we do, we lose the mission for whatever reason. And if we crash into him and he crashes and dies, then that also loses the mission, which kind of sucks. But as long as we know where to not go too far ahead, then we can enter this part here as soon as we can. And then we meet up with the thief, and the thief is like, okay, if you beat me in a 3-lap race, I'll give you your tools back. So we're doing another lap race. And that is legitimately the story, by the way. I'm not even joking. Nice. I didn't get a good crash here. Crashes in this game are actually surprisingly funny. If you manage to get one that lasts a good while, it does waste a bunch of time, but they're pretty funny crashes if you manage to get one that doesn't just instantly respawn you like that. Hopefully I can get one here to show you guys at some point. So this is not like a super long lap race, but there are 3 laps, so it is going to take us a second to get through it. But if we were doing the all missions run, by the way, so if we were going to be doing all of the characters, I think it would technically be faster to try and customize the custom bike of one of the characters. Almost crashed there. Just because each character has a different custom bike, so you can't like transfer custom bikes from one character to another. But if you use all of the points gathered up from every single character on the last character, I think you could maybe save time by customizing the bike and then using it for like the very last character. But overall, customizing the bike is ridiculously slow in this game because of all the parts that you select and have to like add points to. Just takes a significant amount of time. It's pretty ridiculous. So we're getting pretty close here to the end of the second lap. There's sadly not a ton to really explain besides what we've explained here. If you see in the bottom right corner, you can obviously see a speedometer, but we also have a health meter. The health meter in the bottom right there will fill up more and more if we hit a bunch of stuff. Like if we manage to crash into a bunch of vehicles, then if we do that too many times, we can actually fail the mission there by doing that as well. But it's really, really hard to lose that way. Like, you have to be basically trying to lose to lose that way. So you pretty much never have to worry about that health meter at all. So you can see there's also these little nitruses we're grabbing. They'll give us a little speed boost if we run into them. So try to grab those as we are driving throughout the maps. Alright, so we're done with this mission, finally. That one's a little bit of a boring one, but now we're on to the third mission out of 6. This one's a totally interesting one, I guarantee you guys. You'll be thrilled. There's also cutscenes in this game, but sadly it's way faster if we skip them. So this mission here, it starts out with us needing to go to a vendor shop to go and buy some bike parts. So we're going to make our way over to that shop. One thing that you guys might have a question about is the traffic. The traffic in this game, you can actually pretty much predict all of the traffic that is going to happen in this game because pretty much all of the cars spawn at the same places whenever you get to the points that you do in the map. So as long as you aren't spending too long in one section of the map over another, then you're pretty much going to be getting the same spawns as you drive throughout the map. So you can pretty much guess whenever there's going to be cars coming your way and when you need to swerve out of the way of some cars that'll spawn around a corner. But this game really likes to try and get you to run into cars when you're going around a turn. They'll like to spawn cars like directly in front of you a lot of the time, and it can get pretty ridiculous. So basically the vendor shop is closed and we're like, okay, well, we're just gonna go and drive all the way over to the vendor's house and harass him for this part. And he's like, okay, well, I'll give you the part if you go and test out this transmission for me. And we're like, okay. So we do. And now we're going to go test it out. And this is, like, I think pretty much one of the very few times in the entire game, including all of the missions from all the other characters, where you actually need to grab some time bonuses. Like, this is the one mission with Paul Sr. for sure, where you have to grab these extra time bonuses so you have enough time to finish the mission. You actually do, in fact, need to grab these to finish the mission, so we do. There's only 2 of them to grab, though, so it's not too much of a big deal. We just grab those 2, and then we speed along our way to the end of the section here, and that'll be the end of this mission. You do wheelies, by the way. I didn't do it there. I was trying to do one there. Oh, we didn't crash. Lame. That would have been awesome if we crashed, but I wasn't going fast enough to get him to crash there at the end of the mission. Alright, so we're on to the 4th mission out of 6. We're speeding along here. So mission 4 is kind of interesting, and by interesting I mean not super interesting lore-wise, but if you can see at the beginning of some missions, I have like a little blue bar in that speedometer there. That if I manage to keep the needle in that bar while the mission tells me, like when it tells me to go, then I actually get a little boost at the beginning. So that's kind of helpful. I want to try and get those as much as I can. This next mission, we're going to be going and replacing our own transmission this time on our bike. And we get to the shop, and the shop owner's like, I just sold the last transmission to that guy. And that guy happens to be our biggest rival bike dude. So that gives us total full reign to commit attempted manslaughter and take that part back. And drive away to make sure we escape from him, because he's going to try and mess us up for stealing his bike part. And also the cops are after us, so anytime we see, like if you see the stars in the map in the bottom left there, those are cops that are driving after us. I don't think we really ever encounter them, just because we drive so fast to where we need to go. But if we do manage to like get lost or whatever, they will they'll catch us and make us lose the mission. So basically we just steal a part so we can get an advantage in the bike making game. It's all good. Paul Sr. is he's a baller. He's gonna do wheelies for swag. See? Oh crap. Okay. So that's a crash, by the way. That's one of the crashes you can do. You can do a crash by wheeling too much. But anyway, it's better whenever you do crashes off of cars, though. I like it a lot more. Alright. Gonna make sure not to crash too much, though. If we crash, like, way too much, then we'll end up failing a mission, so... Let's do it. Alright. Just gonna do a turn here. Gotta get back to the shop. It's all good. Alright, and that's the mission. Awesome. Okay. That is the 4th mission out of 6. Got that one done. So, now the 5th mission. We're gonna be moving on to the last mission that we're actually able to use this bike, this pre-made bike here. This mission's kind of neat. We start out having to make it to our appointment with our friends here. We're gonna be racing a bunch of Paul Sr.'s friends, but we have to make it in time to the race. And if we crash basically more than once, then we don't make it to the race in time, and we have to restart the mission over and over until we do that right. But it's not too hard to do, especially if we know where to go. Then we just drive over here and drive into that little starting section, and then we do a 3-lap race with our friends here. One special thing about this race in particular, the game doesn't give any explanation whatsoever as to why you're doing this, but you are required to break 15 items throughout the level while you're doing this 3-lap race, which is actually pretty easy to do. But it is totally unexplained. Like, it just says break 15 items while you're doing the race. It's like, okay. So there's this 3-lap race, and we have to kind of do little bit of a turnaround here. We have to make sure not to get lost. It's kind of easy to get turned around in this race if you're not careful, but you actually have to not take the right here again and go this way. It's kind of like a it's kind of a weird loop, but you essentially hit this last lap here, and then we're on to the second one. So that's what the lap is, and we just have to hit 15 items along the way. So it's nothing too complicated, but it's, again, just like completely unexplained. It's just like, yep, just break stuff while you're... Well, oh crap! I didn't get a good crash. I'm sad. I need to get a dope crash for the memes. All the crashes we've gotten so far have basically just spawned me right back into the game, which is faster. And if you were doing an actual, like if you were really concerned about the time you were gonna get, that's definitely more. It's gonna save you a lot more time than crashing into the like doing an actual full crash. But hopefully I can get a swag crash here going. We'll see. Second lap, almost done here. We're getting there. We're getting there. We're getting there. We already hit 15 items, so we don't even need to worry about hitting any more items. Oh, nice. That's the kind of crashes I was talking about. That wasn't quite as glorious as I had hoped, but it can be pretty hilarious. They can get some air doing that. It's pretty great. It's probably the funnest thing to do in the entire game, is going and crashing every character into into cars. It's great. So I managed to not get turned around here. That's good. Nice. I think if anyone did that in real life, they would be dead, so don't do that. Especially if you're Paul Sr.'s age. Alright, so we're almost done with this mission here. Just gonna do a jump off here. Hopefully, yep, I did it. So that jump is so wonky, dude. This jump is so ridiculous if you're not careful. I'm just gonna drive around it. If you're not like totally right on the angle that you hold with the joystick there, you could just super easily like crash off of that ramp there. It's pretty great. Alright, so we got first place, which is what we need to do to pass the mission. So that's good. We didn't lose a bunch of time there by doing that. Awesome. So we're on to the very last mission of the game. And if you guys did hear me earlier mention, I am not allowed to use any of the pre-made bikes, and I have to use the custom bike that we made at the beginning of the game. And as I said as well, we don't customize it at all, so it's a bit of a slower bike. than the other bike we had, but it's definitely still good enough to do the job as long as we manage to not mess up too much during this. So basically this last mission is the ultimate boomer test for Paul Sr., Paul Jr. and Mikey, which are Paul Sr.'s sons. They're testing Paul Sr. to see if he's too old to be a successful bike maker dude or something. Nice. I think I definitely missed the red checkpoint back here. I'm gonna do a little turnaround there. I almost thought I didn't miss it, but unfortunately I did. Oof. That was a time-consuming miss there, but we have to hit these 13 checkpoints as the next part here, and then we're gonna do another slide under a truck to prove we're not a total boomer. And it takes us a second to get there, but we do need to avoid cars as we're driving along, because we do still have a time limit, and if we don't finish all of this by the end of the time limit, then we have to do it all over again. So as long as we know what to do, though, it's not too bad. So we drive this way, and then the final thing we need to do in this game is we need to race Paul Jr. and Mikey with our bike to basically prove how good of a bike customizer guy we are by racing them and beating them with a completely uncustomized bike. So in this is pretty much the hardest part of the game, which is you have to beat these two, and if you crash pretty much more than, like, I'd say like 3 or 4 times, then you're probably going to lose. So you have to make sure you keep your lead against these two, or else you're gonna have to redo the entire mission again, including all of the trial stuff I did. So pretty much we just want to make sure we don't lose this mission, or else we'll lose a ton of time. So and this race isn't too bad, as long as you make sure not to crash into too many cars. It's not too difficult, but it's definitely infinitely easier if you actually customize your bike and use a good bike. The race is actually ridiculously trivial at that point, but at this point it's actually kind of a decent challenge. So we have a big turn we have to do coming up here. Nice, that was not a great bump there, but that's fine. So I mostly just want to get that speed boost there, and then we want to make sure not to drive on the left side of the road there off of that ramp, because that car will always be there to screw you over. Like, if you land on the left side there, you're pretty much guaranteed to run into that car, and you have to go over the jump again, and that wastes a bunch of time. So we're through this to the second lap now. They're still trailing behind us pretty decently, so they're not doing the worst. I think usually when they're behind us, they don't tend to crash as much either. But when they're ahead of us, the AI still tends to be kind of dumb, but they're not as bad as earlier in the game when they just get completely lost. That doesn't really happen in this one. So getting through here, grab this other boost. There's not too many boosts in this level, unfortunately, but the ones that we can get are really nice to get, because the computers do end up getting them always, and if you miss them, then you can fall behind a little bit pretty easily there as well. Alright. Grabbing this one here, and we're almost to the third lap. It's probably one of the longer races in the game too, so messing this up is, again, just super time consuming. Alright. So we grab that, and now we're on to the third lap, and then once we cross that line there, back where it said final lap, at the end of this lap here, that will be time, just so you guys know. So time will be coming up here in about a minute, I'd say. As long as we don't choke the entire end of this race, which I think we should be fine to be able to do. I think we're not too much of a boomer to be able to pull this off. Got this, boys. Wheelie for swag. Wheelie for swag. Okay. I wanted to make sure I didn't crash with that wheelie, though. Alright. So we should be pretty much set here. Alright. I think we're good. Alright, time is coming up here. In about 3, 2, 1, time. That is American Chopper 2 Full Throttle. With Paul Senior missions, all the Paul Senior missions. Sadly, you don't get a super awesome congratulatory cutscene, but it was a game. Hope you guys enjoyed. I can try to show off a crash here if I can get a really good one going. Like a good crash into a car here. Where would be a good one? Let's do this one. No, let's do this one. Thanks for the GGs, guys. I appreciate it. Yeah, that run wasn't too bad. I at least did not lose. Oh, this was this mission here. Okay, yeah, we can get a pretty good crash off of one of these cars going in the opposite direction of traffic here. All right, let's go. Oh, that wasn't as good as I hoped. Dang. Let's get a different mission. Let's see, which mission is the best for this? I think this might be. Let's see. Yeah, probably. It's a game. It's basically the most I could say about it. It's a game. It's good. I mean, it's really not that bad of a game, but once you beat the game, it's yeah, it's forgettable maybe. I don't know. So let's get a good speed boost going. Wonder if we can get a speed boost with this and then get that into a car. Yeah, let's go. Wow, that was extremely unclimactic. Oh man. Well, this is not. I've gotten some pretty good boosts, some good jumps off of these cars, but either way, whenever you guys are ready to cut, it's totally fine. I'm just kind of messing around now, so. Whenever you guys are good to go. Get a jump. Yeah, get some air, Paul Senior. Yeah. You can do some swag wheelies. Yeah, it's mostly when you do the wheelies with that. That's where you get the air. Yeah. Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Hope you guys have a good night. It was fun showing this game off.